All right. Hey guys, what's up? My name's Samuel Prokowski. Right now, we are gonna do the third episode of F4. Once again, this will be about strategy. Throughout basically the entire competition season, that's what it's gonna be all about. So let's get to the co-host screen, and we'll start with Andrew. Introduce yourself.
My name's Andrew Dickinson. I am the team captain, the drive coach, and the lead programmer for 3546, the Buccaneers from Grand Haven, Michigan.
All right, let's move over to Charlie.
Hey guys, I'm Charlie. I am from Warminster, PA. My team is the Robo Vikings team 2607. I'm the electrical lead, but I also have experience in programming, drive, electrical, mechanical, and I'm a networking student.
And then lastly, let's go to Keaton Shaw.
My name is Smitty, and I'm co-captain and drive coach of 2869. I also do marketing, treasury, strategy, etc.
No phones in school,
Shh.
Charlie.
My phone's on silent.
Mine,
That was
sorry.
you?
Yep.
And all right, you're demoted. So anybody, anyway, let's get to our first topic, which is gonna be the controversial matches played by us. For all those that don't know, in our quarterfinal 1, quarterfinal 2, and quarterfinal 3 matches, there were our fair share of missed calls, wrong calls, and just overall a lot of stuff that led to us getting eliminated when, after watching videos, we should have won. At least those matches. And if we had the right calls the entire day, we would have actually had the highest score of the entire regional. So, basically that leads to the fact that a lot of people are saying, alright, so this is not a new thing, this has happened before, we need video review now. How do you guys feel about that? Starting with Charlie. I don't know.
I think that we should, for certain cases. In these qualification matches, I think that would make it too bulky. Almost every round, someone would challenge the judges and look back at the video. And then in the... Wow, I'm very bad at remembering words.
You'll get there eventually.
Playoffs?
In the playoffs,
There you
yes,
go.
thank you.
Nice.
In the playoffs, it should be an option, but the head judge should be able to, or head ref, should be able to say yes or no.
Here's how I feel about it. If you say, a lot of people have come up with that argument. They said, it would happen way too much. But if you look at something like the question box, it's not used very often at all, and you are allowed to use it every single match you play.
Yeah.
So
I think there's a difference, though. Can I?
Yeah, sure.
It's difficult to do video review. And I was reading through that thread, and I think I agree a lot with what some people were saying, is that camera angles are an issue. And it takes a lot longer to do a video review, right? Because there's going to be technical difficulties of some variety, and but the question box, right? The ref can come and answer your question when they have time. It might be a match or two. I mean, I've stood in the question box for the whole next of the rest match, waiting to talk to the referee. And First is really pushing those cycle times this year. They're trying to make sure those events don't run super long, and I could see it being an issue where there just isn't enough time to do match reviews. And I understand that it's so tough seeing the effect of a match be swung by a bad call, and I have sympathy for you. But I mean, bad calls sort of affect everyone equally, and you just sort of have to deal with it. It's a reality of the game, I think.
Here's a proposal.
Alright.
I'll just go with my proposal, and we'll listen to
Okay.
Keaton over
Alright.
there. So, if you were to replace the timeout card with a video review card,
Yep.
would that be viable? And also put a 5-point penalty if you challenge incorrectly.
I mean, so you're thinking sort of similar to the way American football works.
Exactly. Yeah.
Where you, and I could
American
totally
football
see
games
like
have to stay on schedule, do they not?
well, So
They never do.
they never do. And they also, I mean, you should definitely go through. I mean, okay, I guess everyone should go through and read through that thread.
Yeah, yes, we should.
Yes, definitely.
The and I could see it where it's a coupon and you can only use it once in a limb, but and a limbs it would work, I think. But you still have issues where and watching web streams you can understand this frustration where, especially with this year and the tall defenses, it is very hard to see what's going on.
Right.
Whoa.
Yeah, go ahead.
Whoa.
Okay, yeah. So, as drive coach from 2869, I have a lot to say on this topic, and so it really affected us during eliminations. And I totally get the point where it's been the same way. It's going to waste a lot of time. During qualifications, it gets bulky. But if you read the thread on Chief Delphi, that video reveal needs to happen now thread, there was a couple of solutions that, when combined, make for a really good one. And that is to have two different camera angles, and you get one challenge during eliminations to go up and challenge certain calls that were made. You're only allowed to challenge if the total number of points that you would have gotten were to have changed the match. So as if you were to have either tied or won. So then that way that doesn't waste any time. And if the proposed so you create a list, propose 2 or 3 calls that weren't rightfully called or wrongly called. So then you can personally add them up before you go and challenge it. And then there would also be someone on the side reviewing the video footage. So if there's the other elimination match that wouldn't normally affect your bracket, you could go up and there would be a separate person, so that wouldn't affect the head judge's time. And then possibly the head judge could go over to the people that are just video reviewing throughout the game and see if that was legit.
So under this solution, you would have additional volunteers that would be trained in video review.
Yeah, exactly. And they're trying to start that at a lot of off-season events. So I mean, if you're watching this and you're interested in doing that, I'd check up Chief Delphi.
I mean, even if you just had a single volunteer, sitting there with XSplit running, someone that would possibly even be running the live stream anyway of the event, they could just click local recordings every single match. And locally record every match, which should be done anyway. In Michigan, we have been very good. Yeah. And it's pretty consistent. Sometimes there'll be a qual missing or whatever, and nobody cares. But yeah, it's pretty consistently, and they'll upload to YouTube that night usually, if not throughout the day. And these are local files that are sitting on the desktop. There's no reason why you can't just click one open, scroll to where in the match it was, and it's really not going to take any longer than field reset is going to in most games. Because the refs don't have to be there for field reset.
One thing I could see them doing is having a small group of people that are trained to watch the videos.
Yeah,
and score the match separately.
Oh,
that's interesting.
So then they have 2 different sets of eyes watching the matches at the same time. And if you challenge, they can compare those scores, and then the refs that did it in the video and the refs that did it in person would be able to communicate about that.
But what if the refs watching the video? I feel like it's a lot more.
Yeah, that would require a lot more people trained in the game rules. And then you might as well just have more refs on the field.
Exactly.
Why not just
add 2 more refs?
I do see what Charlie's saying though. With you can move it off site.
Yeah.
If in in New Hampshire or whatever, there is a referee sitting there that review this match, or it presents its own challenges with internet access at events is not always the best, but it's an interesting idea. Having off-site review.
I mean, we do that particularly in the sport I do, gymnastics. Is at higher level competitions, that is states, regionals, and nationals. There are 2 judges on each event, because it's a very subjective sport in that nature. And then those judges use the average of those 2 scores to get the final score. That way it creates the most fair score. I think that's a decent way to do stuff, in the sense that if someone misses something, they can be like, oh, I saw this, and it makes it a lot more clear. But I will break this up a little bit with a quote from the director of FRC, Frank Merrick, who emailed me about this particular topic.
Wow.
And he said, for the sake of this discussion, I'm willing to assume the refs actually did miss calls. But like in any high school sport, the call made at the time is the call. And sometimes those don't go in your favor. I think it's probably fair to assume that in some instances in your FRC career, you had missed calls that have benefited your team. So that is definitely a fair point. If I go back and watch matches, we weren't the only teams that had missed crossings. Our alliance in our particular quarterfinal matches, they did have the other alliances score correct when it came to miscross. There was no miscrossings on there, and there was one questionable challenge where I wasn't so sure, but they did go and look at it, so I'm pretty sure they got it right. But it's just a matter of, I think that you'd be able to negate a lot of these effects with either an easier game to officiate, more referees. And I think even not having a standardized video review system, and even just hey, I have this video on my camera, can I just come and show you this? If they just allowed refs to be able to watch back video.
I don't necessarily agree with having audience video though, because then there is the valid point of, what if it was altered, what if it was taken from an angle that was.
You can't alter video that quickly. You can't.
But it's you can't just assume that because of the time constraints that they're not going to. Like,
yes, you can. You pretty much can. There is the deceptive angle kind of
yeah.
thing, but I mean, with most calls, I don't think a deceptive angle is going to change too much. But you cannot sit there in After Effects and render out a video between matches. It's just not happening.
Absolutely not. No, I mean.
But it's just a thing of morals. Like, if I were to want video review, I definitely want first, because then it's a lot more legitimate and they believe it a lot more. Like, it's just that even if it's not possible to edit video that fast, at least they have that their qualms aren't as I don't know how to put it.
One thing that we noticed in the Mid-Atlantic region is with the Sally Port and the drawbridge, what counts as a crossing?
Oh.
A lot of people, a lot of the judges and refs were making missed calls because they weren't sure when to count it.
And so the manual comments on this. If they're not sure, they're supposed to say no. They're supposed to say it doesn't count if they're unsure.
And the reason there's so much uncertainty is the robot has to leave contact completely.
Yeah.
And there's robots that are going out, leaving contact, and rushing back in. Should that count?
I think so.
I agree. I think so.
It's hard. It's not easy to do that.
Sally port.
I can tell you as a driver, it's not easy to do solo Sally ports, solo drawbridges like that. I mean, it's hard enough to line your robot up backwards with the Sally port and drawbridge. And then trying to release it and risking losing the entire thing is not easy at all. I did it a couple of matches. A couple of them were missed. It's going to happen. I mean, I did for one match. I actually went up to the lead ref rather, and I was just like, "Hey, I'm going to try to do this solo, so just watch out." And then halfway through the match, our alliance partner was free, so I just opened it up and they went through it twice.
That brings up another thing. Should it be legal for a team to be able to hold open the side port?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
oh, absolutely. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I think. But I do not think that I do not think it should be legal for a team from a different alliance to hit you while you're doing that, because it is legal to hit you while you're in the neutral zone in contact with the defense.
No, I feel like it's fair game to hit you if you're in the neutral, neutral zone.
It's ruined a lot of crossings, and I don't know. I just feel like the Sally port and drawbridge are hard enough at this point. They should be subject to the same fouls you would have crossing something like the rock wall.
So I have, I'm not super well read up on the game manual. But what's you can't be crossing a defense, and it's a protected zone, right?
Yeah. So
there's
as
a
soon
foul
as you hit the piece of plexiglass, as soon as any part of your robot is within that perimeter,
okay,
it's a
so
5-point foul.
Yeah. Okay. But if you're holding down the drawbridge, you're not in the perimeter.
Exactly.
That makes sense. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there is parts of the drawbridge and Sally port where you are touching the perimeter.
Right.
In fact,
and that's again where it's those really tough calls. And referees have volunteers in first have a ton going on, especially the referees, and I have nothing but gratitude for them. Because it is so, from the stands and from watching videos again, it's like, bad call there, but in the moment, right, they might have been watching another robot crossing a different thing, and now suddenly did that robot leave contact with the Sally port? And it can be so hard to tell, and I think it's
Bottom
important
line is there just needs to be more. There's just not enough refs in the fields.
Oh, the 6 we have already isn't enough?
Well,
I
obviously,
mean,
I don't think so.
I don't think
But
so.
I
isn't.
agree. We totally have to give it up. They have a lot of responsibility, and that's why there's other ways of going about solving these problems, as if having an external person do video review, having an external person judge, judge at the same time. Like,
I will open it up with the fact that I plan on doing ref training this summer, so that I can actually try this out at some off-season events. You have to go through, if you're going to become a ref, you have to actually go through a lot of formal training through first. You don't just walk into an event after taking some test on VIMs and become a ref. At least for FRC, that in that matter, you can do that for FTC. But overall, I mean, these are qualified people who spend a lot of time doing events. So, I mean, gratitude totally towards them. They don't have to be doing this. And it's amazing that First is able to get all these volunteers to start. But there straight up just has to be more if they're going to design a game this complex with this many possible fouls, with this many elements. I mean, First stepped up their game a lot with game complexity this year. And they just didn't have the volunteer infrastructure to really support it in some means. So I feel like that's a
but I guess,
possible issue.
it is a learning experience that,
Obviously,
you're taking such a great step forward now. Next year, if they keep up with the complexity of the game, I'm sure these problems will be addressed.
I mean, last year, most of the reffing could be done after the match.
Yeah.
It's so hard, because, right, and they were talking about this on GameSense as well, I remember.
Yep.
The referees in professional sports will ref all year round. And I mean, they're paid, right? They will, in the NFL, for example, will ref all the time, and when they're not reffing, they're training, because it's a profession, right? They're professionals. But in First, the money isn't there for that, right? We're not going to pay referees to train during the off season, and more so than what we're doing right now. And it's 6 weeks, or 7 or 8, I guess, if you're including champs. But it's 8 weeks of competitions. And then a whole year goes by, and you're not going to teach people to referee, because remember, these people are engineers or programmers in their day jobs. They're not referees, and they're doing a great service to First by helping us, but it's not what they professionally do. So it's very difficult to get them to be able to do it very well.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a valid point. I know, at least in the New York and Long Island area, a lot of the volunteers, or mostly New York City rather, are from the local companies that support the regional. And they do come back year after year. The same refs have been the refs for many, many years. The head ref, I don't even think she's from the area. I'm pretty sure she's from Georgia. So, I mean, these people are coming from all over. They're dedicating a lot of their time to it. And there's really not more training that could be done. I mean, I'm pretty sure right now you have to go, if you want to become a certified ref, you actually have to go to New Hampshire. So there's enough training going on for the referees. It's just a matter of there's not enough. And gaining referees is not easy either. Finding them, trying to get them to come once they're qualified is not easy. But then we'll have to design a game with less room for the referees to make errors.
So, Sam, one thing you brought up, the complexity of the game. I want to see if you, or if all of you, notice the same thing. The commonly better teams doing worse than the rookies.
That's very
Yeah.
true.
So
The seeding the mechanism's also really messed up this year.
define messed up.
Well, all right, Sam. Like,
Well,
it's not messed up per se, but it should be a little more. Like, just give you an example from the NYC regional. The 8th seeded alliance, right? They picked the people that were ranked like 43rd. We were ranked 43rd at that time out of 66, and the other team was 46 out of 66. And in our first quarterfinal match, we beat the first seeded alliance by like 40 points.
And we had 10 missed points.
And we.
So, can I talk about the game?
Absolutely.
So, I think it's hard because 2014 was a year where the rules were arguably very simple, and we had some of these same problems. So, game complexity, I don't think I agree with that argument.
Well, they
because
upped their ref training after 2014, if you remember. After
I mean,
2014,
and they threw more refs at the field as well.
So, I mean, with the amount of refs, I don't think 2014 would happen again in that sense. And then last year ended up being one of the easiest games in FRC history to officiate.
Last year, everyone had the same robot. It was all forklifts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My forklift
If you
works
saw
better
our
than
robot-
yours.
The 2607 robot from last year literally looked like a forklift.
Yeah, ours was a forklift. Well,
Yeah.
our off-season.
Well, our off season was a forklift.
Our normal season robot was a
Was a
drivetrain.
drivetrain.
Don't ask.
It was a rough year.
Along with 2014 and 2013, but hey, we got our crap together, so.
But I mean,
Hey, you can't really say a rough year. Last at our competition, we built a robot for a team.
No, we didn't
Wow.
even like. All right, we didn't.
We got
robot.
The game
50
with a
first
bag.
out of 51 teams. Yeah, last place. Drivetrain robot that just straight up did not work. Like we built a very complex forklift that just did not work.
last year was a different year. This year is a different year, right? The GDC really likes to mix things up, I think. And there will always be people that disagree with changes. But in general, I think what makes First unique...
You just messed everything up. Please
literally,
do not do that. Turn that off
sorry.
now.
What makes
How
what
about
makes
that's your fault?
First distinct is that it changes every year, and I like
Oh,
that. I think.
it's
I mean,
true.
obviously, it's critical to the whole designing robot and time frame that they have to release the game. But I think the fact that it changes every year is something that makes First so great, and the GDC is trying to throw wrenches at us, trying to change the rules on us. I think that's something that is so similar to real world engineering, right? Laws are changing. Maybe not in the same way, but you cannot assume that that things stay the same over time, and it's helpful to embrace the change, I think.
So I think we should embrace the change. That there's gonna be official video review at every single
Yeah,
upcoming regional.
exactly.
I don't
wish
know
that would
about
happen
that.
for Mar, but
I
it
mean,
never will.
just based on Frank response, they know what's going on here. They are not ignorant to the fact that something needs to be done, but they don't have the solution yet. I mean, this also comes with standardizing regional live streams rather, which also should be done. And they might
There's
be
some
able
work to be
kill-
done.
They might be able to kill two birds with one stone with this. So I'll give you the stone, okay? You just gotta find the birds.
This year for Mar, they actually did really well with live streams.
Yeah, they were really good.
They set up one YouTube channel, and they have scheduled every event as a live stream on one channel. And at every event, they have a 4G hotspot running to do live stream.
Yeah, I've been watching the Mar live streams. They're really, really nice. Shout out to
And
Mar.
Michigan's been pretty good in the past 2 years. I think we had some issues week one, but the districts seem to have it together in terms of the live
Yeah,
streams.
the
It's the
districts have it
regionals
together.
where things are a little bit sketchier.
Well, they're stronger governing bodies. That's the bottom line with the.
It's
districts.
more organizational
And
capacity.
a lot of
absolutely.
times, it's actually easier to get a reliable internet connection at a venue like a school than it is to get at a venue like a trade
Arena
show
or
hall
something.
or arenas or something of that
Mhm.
nature.
I would actually argue that point.
Oh, would you?
Oh, would you now?
Every school that we've competed at has had either no internet access available to us,
To you.
or
To you, exactly.
No,
We've
well,
done
to you,
No.
but
Yeah.
to the
every school
robotics
has
event
internet.
at all.
Every school has internet, and I'm sure you can convince most school districts, if they're already hosting the event, to drop you a line. I mean, we have fiber in our school.
They always refuse.
Really?
That's why our region got a 4G hotspot for the live streams,
Hmm.
because we had one event that had internet access. And that was the Happaro event in week one every year.
well, how does First post the scores to New Hampshire
Yeah.
without the internet access, or how did they in the past? I guess.
For Mar,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because there has to be.
they did. They only updated it on Spider at night.
Wait, really?
Huh.
Wait.
Yes.
Hmm.
So we were stuck looking at the little TVs in the pits
Wow.
for our scores and the projector.
Nice. That's
It was-
stuff.
Pretty bad last year.
Well, I mean, the first problem is you're using Spider instead of TBA, but I'll let you go on that one.
Subtweet Sam.
Well, Spider does pull from
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Do they really? Does Spider
Yeah.
use the TBA API?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
It's just like a less bulky app.
Don't get me started with the TBA API. I hate it.
So you hate Spider?
What?
No, I tried to use the TBA API. I couldn't get it to run my programs.
We're using C++.
I mean,
Java. I was using the official jars from TBA and it would not run.
that's,
Oh,
I've gotten it to work with stuff I've written in the past. So
Charlie,
well-
it's your fault.
It probably is. Or as everyone on mechanical says, it's programming's fault.
Oh.
Oh.
I don't think our programmer's watching now, so I can tell him the story of.
Oh yeah,
Tim.
I'm a
that was an
programmer,
interesting.
and I'm mechanical, and I'm electrical.
I'm on every sub team.
I can say it's very rarely programming's fault. It's usually electrical.
Oh well, yes. Well,
Oh
this
no,
was-
no,
this was
no, no, no,
programming.
no.
So okay, so we're at a regional. We've gone through all of our electrical connections a lot. We did a week 0. We did a lot of practice and stuff. So we've diagnosed pretty much all of our electrical issues. And then in the pit, before right after our second practice going into our third, the just drive code just stopped working, and we got an error, basically a fatal error that just would not even allow it to compile every single time on a single line that was just oi dot robot drive, just basically the initialize command for it. And
so something's wrong with the constructor or something.
yeah, well, it ended up not being a problem with the constructor. So that's that's what normal people would think, you know. We went through it. We were sitting there for about a couple hours. Finally,
It was an hour and a half.
Okay, an hour and a half. Felt like longer. We had everybody under the sun come and check it out. And then finally, one of the CSAs came over, and he was just looking at it. He was just like, "Why don't you just keep moving the initializer just up and down through the code?" And we ended up figuring out that there was a line written in the code that just basically made robot drive null.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh jeez.
How do you manage to do that?
It was
I don't
so
know
weird.
why
It
he
never
wrote
it never worked before. This was the first time that this problem came up, but it was written in the code for a while.
It's very strange.
So yes, it is a programming error.
But at least it was practice, right? It didn't happen during quals.
No, it did
yeah,
not happen during
thank
class.
God.
We were mad
You guys
enough
want
that
to
it was
hear a
practice.
funny story about programming's fault?
Depends how funny it is.
That refers directly to the computer I am streaming from right now.
I'm pretty hyped.
So, back when I was on programming, I was using my laptop, I was uploading code to a 6-wheel drive base that was 6-wheel Mecanum.
Sounds fun. Never
And-
Wow.
seen that.
It was Mecanum wheels with Omni wheels in the middle for extra traction.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
alright,
I was just
okay.
like, how to think.
Not 6 Mecanum wheels, that would be impossible.
I started thinking it through. I'm like, what orientation did you have the middle one at?
Yeah, right.
So, the program worked flawlessly. And then one guy decided he wanted to add PID loops.
That's good.
And he just looked at one laptop and copied the code over.
Oh
So,
jeez.
we
No.
moved my laptop onto a trash can in the hallway where we were working
Uh-huh.
and deployed the code. Before we even enabled the robot, it ran full speed at the trash can,
Oh.
knocking my laptop off and destroying my laptop.
Ooh.
But you're streaming on it right now, so it wasn't
Oof.
included.
That's
Wait,
rough.
hold on.
Did you run autonomous?
It was $400. No,
So
As
hold
soon
on,
as-
wait.
Wait, hold on. How does that
So
work?
a disabled robot, the CAN bus is killed and the PWM outputs are killed as well. How are you using some kind of strange firmware on your?
it was a standard Serial.
The loop might have been returning that it was not running, or it was running at a different. I don't know. The loops were messed up clearly.
Yes.
And
I don't know what he did.
He copied
But
and
he managed to
pasted,
get it-
and
He didn't even copy and paste. He copied and pasted by eye.
Oh, so
He was copying it looking at the other laptop.
that's that's
Seems very unlikely. I don't know. I'm skeptical.
I'm
If I sent in a
skeptical
picture of
this
my
kid's
laptop right
sanity
now-
after
Oh
not
well,
using
I
it.
okay.
have-
So I don't doubt that your laptop, is injured
Yeah,
by
no,
a
that's
robot.
not that's not what
I
I
have
meant.
a huge cut in my laptop's metal frame.
Well, at
I'm
least
From
here-
the metal frame to
No,
the
bottom
mechanical
line
wheels.
is I'm skeptical of his sanity because he copied and pasted something by eye. I mean, there's this thing called Control C, Control V that could save you a lot of time.
Well, it's two separate computers, and we didn't
Yeah,
have.
Sam, how
content
does that
for
work?
You go on what's called Gmail. You,
Alright.
you
Okay,
Control
that's
C-
actually fair. That's
Sam,
fair.
that's a little bit more complex than Control C, Control V.
Well,
Like,
it is.
okay,
See,
listen,
it's
listen.
Control C, Control V twice.
oh
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Wait, no, you forgot to
And type
send.
an email address. Oh, don't you mean Control Enter? Or Control Carriage Return?
Ah, this is out. We're
Sure,
done.
Mac.
Maybe, I have a better idea. GitHub.
Yeah, we do that
Oh.
now.
Yes.
Okay.
We have
Yep.
that now.
Yeah.
Version control is wonderful.
Yeah. Well, that was the other thing. So we've reverted to older versions of the code, and it still didn't make a difference.
Because it was
Which
still there.
confused everybody a lot. And then finally we ran a test program, and we were able to make one side of the robot drive. But the entire time, he kept saying, has to be an electrical issue.
Yeah,
Can't
it's
be a
definitely an
programming.
electrical issue. It can't be programming. Can't be programming.
I'm like, if it was
The
electrical...
circle of blame on FRC.
It was my mechanical issue. It was, And I mean,
It's
it's,
programming
usually-
fault.
Sam, you built this
It's
robot
mechanical's
wrong.
fault. It's electrical's fault. It's programming's fault.
it's always someone else's
Forever.
fault.
It's
Yeah.
marketing's fault.
Well, I mean, we
Honestly,
literally- it's marketing.
It's the freshman's fault.
it's always the
We had a
freshman's
couple
fault.
of those this year.
For us, it's even worse. We have 7th and 8th graders.
Ooh. Yeah, we should get 8th graders up on our team, make it a little bigger, have some people in the stands to hold signs.
Oh, our 7th and 8th graders sit on their phones.
Do they
How-
hold? They don't hold any signs up.
Nope. Most of our
So-
freshmen don't either.
Wait, so like, who do you
Freshmen's?
give?
Yeah,
wait,
who-
who do you give
who
the
holds the
filing
signs?
then? Like, this is confusing me. Who files? Is it like the 7th, 8th? Because it's usually
Oh,
the freshmen, or
files.
like
Who sits
Files
there?
like
What?
signing up on the team
No, no,
or
like-
no,
file-
no, like,
like-
filing
like
metal.
abrasive material. against-
Oh,
like the
Yeah,
oh,
like that,
okay.
like that.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
all right. I get what
usually
you're
this
saying.
one kid named Paul.
Hey, Paul! Shout out to Paul. If you're watching, Paul.
Oh,
He
shout out to
probably
Jordan
isn't.
because Jordan just said they have 5th graders on their team.
What?
What?
That sounds really unsafe.
How do you do that?
So, do you not have FTC in your area?
Oh, we don't. But
We actually don't.
Yeah.
Oh.
We're working on that, personally. But...
Oh yeah, that's a work in progress. So, well, right now we're working on a mock FTC type thing.
Yeah.
Well, New York and Mar are the same kind of area, and it's not on the East Coast.
Well, bottom line
Like,
is,
at all.
I have a prediction that we're gonna be swallowed by you eventually. So we'll see.
New York's going to become part of Mid-Atlantic.
Well, no, lower New York, so New York City and Long Island, and then I think upstate's gonna be swallowed by any.
I actually don't see that happening.
And why
They'll
is
probably
that?
take one of them will probably take the whole state. I mean,
No, more because
No.
Mar already has so many people.
Bro.
oh, you
We
want to
haven't-
talk about?
DC
you wanna talk
will
about
be
One or
rich.
two events every weekend.
Yeah, I know.
There were
It's
4
possible.
events in Michigan week 1.
Really?
Oh yeah, we have so many teams in Michigan.
Yeah, and there's a lot of teams in
Yeah.
Minnesota as well, and they're still on the regional model. So I mean, but yeah, we need to be on the district model. I'm gonna set up a petition. You guys should all sign it. Jordan's 5th
Hey.
graders roam
Change.org.
around and pretend to be safety captains.
Pretend to be
Safety
safety captain.
What?
And at someone says New York City and SBBLI are too international, but SBBLI I don't think has any international teams this year.
No, SPBLI isn't international, and
They
yeah,
used to
NYC,
be.
but
The year, last year they had a bunch of international teams. This year it closed so quickly. I don't think there's any international teams there. I will check though to make sure I am not being completely ignorant.
If you are, that would be fairly funny, though.
Yep. So far, okay. There's 1156 from Brazil, but they've been coming for like 9 years. So fair. Yeah, they're the only international team, and they are basically locals that are regional. Because
Basically locals, but they speak Spanish as a primary language.
They
I
don't
don't
speak
think
Spanish as a
Brazil
primary
speaks Spanish.
language.
You're right, they speak Portuguese.
There
Yeah.
you go.
So,
yeah.
so under the district model, I've never actually seen a team from outside of our district. I know district teams can play outside their district
But regional
at
teams
like
cannot.
regionals, but does it not go the other way?
No.
Can outside?
yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'd probably go to like Mount Olive for fun and stuff. Like, just because they're just it's such a cheap. I mean, right now we're looking towards 2 regionals next year. I personally want to do one in Australia, and
Yes, Straya.
Straya. Oh yeah, a whole
Straya.
proposal for Google next week, but that's
Oh
not the
yeah,
point.
we're asking Google to send us to Australia.
Straya.
Is
Really?
Google one of your sponsors?
We're going to their
It's
headquarters
about
with our
to be.
robot Wednesday.
Wow,
So
that's exciting.
we'll see.
Yeah.
My engineering class is supposed to take a field trip there in January. They canceled it like 3 days before.
Wait, Google canceled?
Yes.
That's
All right, so
unfortunate.
it's 3 days before we're supposed to go. So
Are we still
Good
good?
luck.
I've
They
already
said
gone
there was
there
a
twice,
high-
so
There was a high
yeah,
priority
yeah.
person coming, and they had to have top security, so we weren't be allowed in the building.
oh,
That's unfortunate.
But there's 2
that's
buildings.
actually really sad.
Like, you couldn't have gone in the second building?
No, the
We weren't allowed.
glass building.
Yeah, the glass building. Yeah, we were making jokes we were going to send part of our team to the other
The
building.
Glass Apple store in New York City?
No, okay, so essentially the way that the Google headquarters works is it's in Chelsea. They have an entire city block of Chelsea. It's gigantic. It's one of the largest buildings in New York
Right.
City. And then across the street is what's called Chelsea Market, which is like a bunch filled with restaurants and stuff. And then the upper floors Google also owns. And that's where they house their glass division and maps division. So we're saying that we should send over half our team over to the maps and glass division. I mean, there's a basketball court over there, so it'll at least be
A bunch
fun.
of them feel bad that they're not invited, so like
I mean,
we're
they
gonna
don't-
send them there.
Yeah, they're invited.
Do you have duplicate robot this year?
No. We're
No.
we're
Practice?
done with our regional. So,
Yeah, they
Oh, yeah.
we had one regional and we didn't win, so
and that's one of the unfortunate things about even if we do really poorly, we get to play 2 events, and I think that's one of the major advantages of the district system
and we
is
didn't
that you're
do really
guaranteed.
poorly. So,
You're
like,
guaranteed. Well, yeah, exactly. Is that you're guaranteed 2 events no matter what.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, and you look at that, okay, it's like, yeah, we didn't do poorly, we're still done at week 2. I mean, if we were in a district model, we probably would have made DCMP. And then we could have had a 3rd event to play at. So, like, it's just unfortunate the way that everything works out. And we're paying the same amount. So it's just like, great, you know. And you guys get more matches per district event than we get in an entire regional.
Yeah, honestly,
Yeah.
like we get
I saw that
8
tournament, Chief Delphi, too.
I'm like, bro, how does that work? I mean, we
8
get
matches.
eight matches. We ended up getting
Wait,
11.
you play 8?
Yep,
If you
8
don't-
matches.
If you don't
8
make,
Really?
yeah, if you
Yep.
We
don't
played
make,
12 matches in our first district event.
yeah, exactly. I mean, we played
Yeah,
11.
you play. We played 12 quals.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
played 8 quals.
8 calls.
So for
Huh.
the majority of teams that don't make quals, because I mean we have 66. New York City Regional was a 66 team event.
Yeah, the events are larger too. Yeah, the district
they're-
model.
That's true.
Yet the playoff
It's-
brackets are still the same.
It's hard because, and I've read some things on Chief as well about of all the advantages to switching to the district model, it is hard in areas that don't have enough teams.
The thing
Because-
is, what's sad about New York is it's not a matter of the amount of teams or the amount of support towards district the model.
Modules.
Modules.
What is this?
It's actually
What is this?
issues between governing bodies. So right now there's 3 governing bodies that manage most of. Well, actually there's 4, but NYTVR works really well with the Finger Lakes organizing crew. But SBPLI and New York City do not particularly work that great together. And SBPLI is holding on to their regional. So neither governing bodies want to. They don't want to form together. I mean, there's 4.
So it's like a political thing.
almost, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, SBPLI is the only regional right now that's not just like the Long Island regional. It's the SBPLI regional. You don't see that for anything else at this point. And they're really holding on to their particular regional. Right now, even though they are technically the school business partnerships of Long Island, the only thing they do is an FRC event and a couple FTC events. So if they are not going to be hosting a regional, then what are they doing? And there's people that have full-time jobs at SBPLI. There's people that have full-time jobs at NYC First. There's people that have full-time jobs at New York TVR. So, like, it gets to that issue with, like, are we going to just split up all these governing bodies, form into, like, you know, the New York district, and where are all these people going? Are they moving? Are they relocating their families?
Here's one
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, that's
you would not
that's real
be
difficult.
named the New York district. You would probably be named First New York because they're changing, or they actually set a rule this year
Yeah, they
on the naming scheme.
Really?
Yes, we used to be Mid-Atlantic Robotics, and now we are required to be First Mid-Atlantic.
Huh.
Well,
So
aren't
we
the
yeah,
banners
are,
messed up?
now we're FMA. Yes, so all of our banners are wrong now.
That's funny.
The blue
I mean,
banners for
you could still use it informally, right?
Yeah.
well, the blue banners
similar
for
to, like,
2016 were
FRC.
ordered before First changed it. The
Oh,
2016
Oh, that's-
banners still
That's
say
unfortunate.
MAR instead of FMA.
Yeah, I
That's
heard about
unfortunate.
that. Yeah. Well, that's
They really messed up
no.
this
I
year.
I know what we'll be. We're gonna be first between Mar and New England.
First,
so it's like a 6-letter
BMNE.
Yes, I like it.
FBMNE.
Yeah, that's what's happening. Oh, and next to oh wait, no, there's no wait. Is there? There's not a district model next door, to the left of us. So that's unfortunate.
To the left of you is Canada.
Yeah.
Well, and
Canada
then
and, like, Ohio.
and then Michigan. You know,
No, to the left of
New
to
York.
the left.
to the left of New York is Buffalo, Canada.
Yeah, you go across.
To the left of Pennsylvania is Ohio.
But if you go diagonally across the river,
Lake
I mean
Erie.
the Great Lakes, then you get to
Then you'll technically
you-
be
hey,
in.
you can get to
Ohio.
Michigan as well.
You could also get to
Exactly, that's what I
Michigan.
was saying,
But you'd have
yeah.
to cross through Canada.
I actually
Yeah, you
regret
would.
not paying attention in social studies now because I have to look up a map.
Bruh.
Oh,
Do you at least know where Pennsylvania is?
Yeah, of course.
Well, yeah. I mean, if
have
you
a
want to go
friend
to
from
Ohio, you have to go
Massachusetts
through.
who doesn't know where Connecticut is.
Who needs it? Connecticut?
Connecticut.
He's from Massachusetts.
Does he know where Rhode Island is? No. Better yet, does he know where Delaware is? That's my favorite state.
what about Delaware? Makes it your favorite.
Delaware. I mean, do you know where Delaware is? I do. Very few other people do.
Yes, it's south of Philadelphia. Route 1 is the only, or Route 1 and 995 are the only two highways there.
So, Mr. Andrew, you're not from the East Coast. Do you know where Delaware is?
No, well, okay, so I know that it's in New England somewhere, and it's
It's
coastal.
not. It's
No,
not.
no.
No, it's
Nope.
not really.
It's
Oh,
Myanmar.
jeez. Oh, I
It's,
feel bad.
It's next to
It's
it's the
bad.
Maryland.
third state of Mid-Atlantic region.
I feel bad.
Yep.
There's like
Sorry.
3 teams
There you
in
go.
Delaware.
It's okay.
Exhibit A.
It's
Let's see, what
coastal
teams
though,
are from
right?
Delaware. I know Moe's from Delaware. 365.
Yeah, there's actually, I think, 2 people in F4 from Delaware, so they're probably gonna yell at me for,
Oh.
deleting their state. Yeah. Apparently Colin Stiers wants to absorb Delaware. He lives in Maryland. He's working on that. And Long Island's also becoming its own state while we're at it. So we've been trying to work
Why?
towards that for a while.
Why make Long Island its own state? It's so small.
Tax
It's
reasons?
bigger
Well,
than
I mean,
Rhode
I've-
Island.
It's bigger
You're
than. Do
right.
you know the population of Long Island? I'm pretty sure it's in like
Oh.
2 million, 3 million.
It's put it this way, our tiny town, what we consider our tiny town, has a higher population density than the capital of Idaho.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah.
Yep.
The
Shout out to
capital of
Grace.
Idaho is pretty small.
Yeah.
Straight up. Hold on. No. The population of Long Island's 7.568 million.
And
is
what's the
more than a lot of
population of the
states.
capital of Ohio?
But
Or Idaho.
Well, I mean, it's
what's the
population density.
reasoning? What's the reason behind Long Island statehood? What?
Because like taxes could be better subsidized without having upstate like
Taxes
ruin.
could be better.
Yeah, I think it's an invalid point. We're not on the Long Island politics YouTube channel. We're on the robotics one. So let's refocus from Delaware
That's
Yeah, I
true.
think
to
we've kind of
effective
straight.
strategies. Okay, so we
But
We
hold
started
on,
off-
combining the two.
Oh my god.
Combining the two, should robotics be considered a sport according to the state?
whoa. We're in a totally different world of discussion right now. I'm gonna go with no, and let's reevaluate what else we've talked about so far. So we started off by talking about video review. Deviated from that, we came with a general consensus that it would be nice, but there's other ways to get around not having it. There could be issues with it, and hopefully First does something because no one likes missed calls. And then we started talking about the geography of Delaware. We've established that it's very small. New York should be districts. We've established that, but it's not. And we're going to break up a bunch of divisions. And a lot of people's jobs are going to be lost. let's get to our last topic of the day, which has nothing to do with Delaware, and has more to do with effective strategies in this year's game. Stronghold.
So Colin Stiers brought up the fact that he wants us to talk about defense and super aggressive defense and how effective it is.
Ooh, there you go. Thanks, Colin.
If,
I
if
will tell
may.
you how effective it was. It completely destroyed our robot in the finals
Wait.
match.
So you got to be careful. Wait, do you mean destroyed? Like your robot was damaged, or it impaired your ability to score?
The mechanism that actually picks up the boulders was torn off completely.
Wow.
Okay, so I'd consider that pretty
number,
disabled.
Number one. So yeah, that's great. I feel like most of our robot issues with like breaking it have been inflicted by me, the driver. But that's just because I mean the defenses are really they hurt our robot a lot. The first big
It's
we had
rough on
we had
robots.
2 large fixes. Actually, I'd say 2 large fixes that took longer than 10 minutes throughout the regional. The first was after I went over the drawbridge. Going over the drawbridge, I was at like a 45-degree angle, and then the robot just drove off the drawbridge at that angle. So you can understand how high the robot was.
Oh, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it jumped over it. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is this referring back to the Dukes of Stronghold thread?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a good picture of it. Otherwise, it would be really cool. I do have the video of the basically what happened is when it hit the ground, the arm was in the vertical position, not in the folded position. And the rivets that hold the block, the Versa hubs onto the shooter, actually just broke. So all the rivets that got ripped right out. And we just had to like drill like sideways holes into the Versa hubs and like rivet sideways, which is the only way we were able to get those rivets back on without taking off our shooter.
So I will say that the GDC made this game very tough on robots. I mean,
Yeah.
this is the first year where, in addition to having other robots, trying to prevent you from doing things, and the limited contact with bumper to bumper and stuff, and you have the field and the uneven terrain and the sharp corners, and it's you against the field, which is I think. I mean, I'm not super well versed on First History, but I think this is one of the first times that it has been you versus the field.
I mean, arguably 2010 had a little bit of that, and then and then you also had Fallen Climbs in both 2010 and 2013, which could say it was the field. But yeah, this year is the most damaging year so far to robots with defense and the defenses. And I mean, it was all our faults. Last year, we just kept complaining about the lack of defense. And
We're like,
2015
And how
game.
boring the game was.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
first
it's
was like,
not fun to
here's
watch,
here's 9 defenses.
10.
The change
we have
every
the 9
round.
defenses, and then we have defense from our
Oh, the actual
other
defense
team.
itself.
Yeah.
So first was just like, good luck, guys. You're gonna not like defenses anymore. But I still like ice. Defense is fun, except when they pin for too long and try to overturn robots.
or in the last 20 seconds when they
hit
hit
your
us
robot
when
while
we're
it's
trying
trying
to
to
scale. That
or
disables
another-
its scaling mechanism.
and loses you 10 points. No salt at all. Salt.
Well, hold on. So isn't it supposed to be called that if they contact you in your
Yes.
courtyard, that you get called for the full scale?
Yes.
Yep.
And it,
And
Have
and
we
it wasn't.
afforded those
yeah.
coins? I don't think so.
And,
Okay.
it's like usually I would go, okay, that's a little extreme if the robot wasn't actually planning on scaling. But this robot was planning on scaling, had not missed a scale the entire regional competition, and then missed its scale because it knocked its elevator that lifted up its arms out of basically out of position to where they needed it. So yeah. And they hit another alliance, another robot, the game before, right out after 20 seconds as well.
I think we should change this topic before I get a little too salty. So
Okay, listen. We had, I don't know, I was gonna make some really bad chemistry joke, and then I remembered that I did not do that great in that class and don't want to relive it. So we have 10 minutes left, which that means is we are ready for user questions. I should get like a really cool overlay for this. So all these users, all the 6 people that are watching this right now, drop your questions down below in the chat. The reason why there's so few people watching this is because I forgot to post it on Chief Delphi. So, based on the fact that we were off last week, people really probably don't think. Of course you can ask a question.
Oh, I can?
Yes, you can.
I don't have any questions. It was a joke.
How about
'Cause I'm just
Colin Stiers asked a question on Slack. If you want to bring that one up, Sam.
Could we encourage team members to watch? Of course you can, Colin. No, but is this the high goal question?
I mean, yeah, that's just not gonna. That's gonna take a while though. So
Yeah,
like,
we have time.
all right.
Jordan asked the question. No, it is not Tetris in the background. That is the computer I use to control my 3D printer.
Very nice. Next, Colin
right.
says, do you think it's better to shoot high goal or low goal, assuming it's faster to do low goal? Yes, I still think it's better to do high goal at this point in the season. If you asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have said go for the low goals, get the capture. But if you're looking at a lot of the regionals lately, just the capture is not enough to guarantee you the win. So yes, I would go high goals, but it depends on the how competitive your particular event is.
Yeah, so it depends on the match. It depends on what can the other alliance do. It's a hard question, right? And it depends on your robots as well. What your alliance could do. I know on our alliance we teamed up with a shooter, and so they were going high the whole time. But when you get to that third pick, because we're primarily defense focused, we can score low goal. But when you get to that third pick, you don't have a shooter, right? Or at least not a very good one. So you really have to decide, and maybe this is different at districts versus regionals, but you have to decide whether that person's going to be doing defenses or low goal or playing, defense. And I think that when you get to that point, you have to decide on your alliance. We only had one shooter, and then you could do both, is I guess what I'm trying to say.
Well, I mean,
that,
our particular third pick for our alliance was actually the high goal shooter.
Mm-hmm.
So really,
I mean, yeah. So they were 46th seed, out of 66. So I mean, we were the low goal breach robot for our alliance, and they were a really good breach robot. Which without a capture, you could. We had the 10 points that we should have gotten from a couple of missed calls. In our first quarterfinal match, we would have had the high score of the regional.
High score of the day.
Yeah, we had the high score of the day at that point, which was 100.
What was the high score in your regional?
So the high score was 130. We had 10 points that we could have gained that match, which would have put us at 132.
You still wouldn't have beaten us.
Well, I'm sure we wouldn't have, but
by 1 point, we got 133.
Bottom line is they only shot 3 high goals, and we sat there and fed them boulders. We made sure to capture. They were also a scaling robot, which is kind of crazy that a scaling robot that could do high goals was the last pick for our alliance. Especially because they were the only scaling robot in eliminations at our event. But that's crazy. But yeah, we breached all the defenses. We captured, they scaled, and we scored 3 high goals. And that was enough to have the highest score at the day.
At that point.
At that point. Well, if they solved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, have you guys seen the world high scoring match right now?
180, right? At like an
yeah.
event?
No, they broke 200 in Toronto.
I did not see that. I saw
it was a playoff.
And the 100.
You should go watch the match because it is just insane. 118 traveled to Toronto. Here, I can pull it up.
Yeah. The problem I missed a lot of the week 2 stuff. I saw the 190 points in New England. Which was a great match. But yeah, I missed like
210. 210. It was 254 and 1678 in quarters.
Wow.
And they just absolutely killed it. Here's a link here.
I'll even put it on the if you give me the link, I'll put it on the actual.
Yeah, sure. I will send it in here. Here we go. It is just absolutely nuts.
Yeah, let's watch this together. So I'll tell you when to start.
Okay.
I'll get this all up. I think it's Monitor 2. Maybe it's Monitor 1. Okay, yeah, Monitor 1. Alright, cool. Alright, so let's start now.
As we all turn to our live streams.
I mean, just auto. Look at that auto.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Two balls in that. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, we're talking, what is this? 254, 1678, and 3970?
yeah. I mean, it's poofs and citrus circuits, right? So they're
Yeah, I don't know what
They're just
3970
all
is,
over it.
but they're probably not bad if they're competing in Silicon Valley, because no one is really that bad at those regionals. Because if there is a team that's low level, there's so many high level teams that they usually help them. This match is crazy. Except that 254 can't seem to do the Shalata freeze.
yeah. So 254, their accuracy has been interesting this year. It's not what they're hoping it to be, and they're encountering some defense here, right? But
that was good defense.
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Their drivetrain seems to.
I mean, they
seem to be
just
able to push
keep
them very
going
easily.
into the goal. I mean,
You seem to be able to push them very easily. I noticed that. They have very good drivers. That was an impressive turnaround time on the drawbridge. Okay, yeah. Their accuracy is A-okay. I don't think we have to say anything bad about that.
I'm just sitting here watching it on the stream because I didn't pull it up at the same time as you
Yeah, I'm
guys. 'Cause
watching
I'm
on
not
the
that
stream,
smart. So I'm so far behind you guys. And
So
It's
wait,
only a
I
couple
it's
just
seconds.
still
realized,
insane.
I just realized 1678 didn't pull out their two-ball auto. Did they run it
Yeah,
in
no.
any match?
I didn't see if they actually ran. I saw it on the video.
Yeah.
That's some really good defense.
Yeah. Very impressed.
I mean, if you were up against 1678 and 254, you would play defense as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless they were playing defense and had a giant goalie stick. I'm sure they're a little more qualified to play defense than we are with our low bar capable robot. Yeah, wow. Wait,
So,
why
yeah.
did 58-52 fold down their arm at the end? Doesn't that make their challenge illegal?
What do you mean, fold down their arm?
If you look at the end of the video, they actually folded down a little arm, and that has a little wheel on the end of it. Like it looks like an Omni wheel from here.
That would be illegal.
Yeah.
Well, so are they supported by the?
It looks like it's touching the carpet.
Yeah, it definitely is touching the carpet.
So, they had that up, and then they folded it down.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to get up
Oh,
on the
I
on the
said,
ramp,
did they
certainly.
get chosen for? And that was a quarterfinal match. But oops. I want to see if they got points for that because that just seemed odd. What team number was that? 58. Oh, I just realized I still have my. Oh, okay. I don't know what's going on right now. Let's go out of that. Good.
Yeah, just fix it OBS so it's live with us.
Oh, 1 second. Gotta get rid of chat. All right, so we're back. I'll next
We're
time
back.
have a separate scene so that we don't have like a couple little issues we had with like making a. Oh yeah, we're still okay.
There we go, kinda.
Yep.
Yep, there we go. 254 was like that last year, but by week 5 SVR they became a OP again. Yeah, I agree. If you looked at them at Silicon Valley last year, they were not that impressive, and then they got to SVR and they're like, bruh. But that was that was also a part of like a big part of that was their whole switch in facilities halfway through the season.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you notice, they are no longer at their NASA facility. I heard rumors that it was a kid bringing in outside people without permission. I don't know why. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, just don't validate anything on here.
I'm gonna call it a rumor. I actually found out about it in it was the premiere night, I believe. Or some no, it was one of the streams. It was either I think it was Game Sense. And someone was just like, hey, it was right after Silicon Valley. They're like, yo, 254 is not as OP as they usually are. And someone's like, oh, it's because they lost their facility. And that was before like any video, and said why. And it was before any video was released of the new facility. So I feel like there is probably some validity to what they said. But obviously I don't have any particular verification from Team 254. yet. We don't have any 254 members on F4 yet. We'll work on
We
that.
need to get them.
Well, I'll just send an email over to Jared.
Do it.
Yeah, I'll slide into his PMs. But anyway, we just hit 9 o'clock, so thank you for watching. This is a great episode of F4. We learned that Delaware is a state, and that video review will eventually...
Okay, I knew it was a state. I just didn't
You
know
learned where it
exactly
is.
where it was.
Catch you guys next week, right here, same time, different people. I'm Sam. And we have Andrew, Charlie, and us.
Hi.
So, see you guys later.
Bye.